So, Everdark Gladius got released and it's fantastic. I see why they put him in the end of the Everdark line. One thing that remains in his enhanced version from the regular one is his weakness to holy damage. So, I grabbed Iron Eye with Edge of Order, summoned Crater, and went there straight away during day 1. The main thing of Edge of Order is to make the starting bow deal holy damage. That way I don't have to depend on RNG to give me a holy weapon. And if I go to the Crater on day 1, that means I also won't have to worry about wasting smithing stones on my bow in the meantime, or finding a temporary better weapon or whatever, and that I can get my best possible bow to a legendary level straight away and just blast damage left and right for the rest of the game. The relic also provides us with some nice side effects like more thrusting damage and overall bow buff. It's a guaranteed one, you get it for progressing Iron Eye's Remembrance quest. I love it very much and suggest you give it a try. Then I got Knight of the Lord. I have a problem with this relic. I have not taken it off Iron Eye ever since I've beaten Healstone for the first time. I physically cannot make an Iron Eye build without this damn relic. It is too good and too fitting for his playstyle, and it makes all stages of the game unfathomably easier. It's especially about to carry us while traversing the crater. The impact that this relic has on early game is unfair. Lastly, I got a relic for a second character skill charge. Iron Eye's mark is already busted enough, but now we can make extra sure that it never wears off of enemies. And that we now have 2 buttons of unfair iframes. Just like Knight of the Lord, this thing here is invaluable and makes the entire game a lot easier for Iron Eye. The problem with it is that it also is addicting, and removing it feels weird, and I keep itching to press the skill button the second time when I do remove it. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, the general plan is to make a legendary holy bow as soon as possible, and then the game turns into a boss rush. You can never be overprepared in Nightreign, and it especially makes sense for Everdark Gladius, who is obviously very cool and all, but the f*** I can one-shot my ass even at level 15. So in this run, I'll pay extra attention to defensive perks, weapons with defensive passive effects, and so on. One more thing about why I ended up choosing to do a day 1 Crater is that almost all of Tricephalos seeds with Crater allow to do so. When deciding whether to do it day 1 or not, what matters is where your spawn is and how the circle is gonna act in the second half of the first day. I've done a lot of runs while recording this video and noticed a certain pattern. In Tricephalos maps with Crater, if the game gives you a spawn close to it, then chances are that the circle will be friendly to you and will let you get to the epicenter and out of it almost without problems. It will allow me to clear things without panicking and rushing. I'll be able to get all the fire prelates, the flaming chariots, then on the way out I will most likely have time for either the gargoyle or falling star beast, you get the idea. Enjoy the run and I will join you back with the boys after we beat fire prelates in front of the fog wall. Remember what I've said about the circle? Its current position is ideal. I will have time not only for the worm, but also for the gargoyle and or falling star beast. Now, usually I would skip the flame chariots, but not right now. They give 7000 runes plus each, and on earlier levels it matters much more than later on. Also, the bodies that are scattered here can often drop me something decent, be it an item or a weapon, sometimes even a legendary. It's a shame that I didn't get anything decent from here, to be honest, and no good weapons from earlier mini-bosses too. That means I'll have to deal with the worm with 2 white bows, which is not bad, it'll just be slow. Something like a random blue or even white rapier would make this a lot quicker. So, let's sum up what is going on right now. I'm less than 10 minutes into the run, I got a legendary bow with the best possible damage type in my inventory, I'm level 10 and have the whole map waiting for me to explore it. What can I say? I really should do Gladius on day 1 more often. As I've already said, now the game will pretty much turn into a boss rush. I will try to get as many field bosses as I can, I'll obviously clear out the castle and visit that random horde event. When early game is too good, finding stuff to do on day 2 may become harder, but we'll get through it. I want to add that I really love holy damage in this game. I feel like it got much more love compared to base Elden Ring. We have 2 main bosses weak to holy, we have field bosses like Deathless Bird or Ancestor Spirit, who also have a major holy weakness. It's also quite convenient that Iron Eye has a very decent Remembrance relic to provide him with this type of damage. I would have tried to do the castle bosses right now, but let's not forget that I still have to find myself to do something on day 2. So instead of bosses, I'll get to clearing Crucible Knights with spears that are considered mini bosses and drop small rewards, and a whole lot of runes. There is one jail in my way and I conveniently have just one key. Getting the mini-boss there is nice, and I will also use its grace to level up with everything I've gotten from the Crucible Knights. As far as I understand, thrusting counterattack does affect bows, and thus I picked the perk. If you know more about this, whether it actually works or not, please share it in the comments. Now, first things first, before taking on bosses again, I saw Merchant's Shack being very close, and so I'll visit him first. I want a Ritual Sword talisman from it, which he always sells, and which boosts my attack by 10% at max HP. Now my path becomes a little bit complicated. I want to get one extra flask charge because, you know, it's a new boss and it's hard and I haven't perfected my timings on him too well yet, so just in case, I'd rather improve my safety. Then I want to cross the map and check out that horde event. It happened to me before obviously, but not in this format. It would just randomly appear next to me like it always does. I've never had it marked on the opposite side of the map, saying that it came from another world. In any case, horde event is priceless in this run, because I really want my ult charge. Being able to ult twice in Gladius fight raises my chances of winning much higher. If I'll manage to find one more ult recharge perk as a reward, I will take it without thinking. Yeah, it turned out to be a regular horde event, but appearing like this for some reason. I had a similar interaction a couple of times with the Sorcerer's Rise, where it would say that the contraption is opened from another world or something like that, and it would be just a rise that I don't have to solve myself. I'm curious what triggers these events. There were Bells of Awakening in Dark Souls 1, where if you played online, you would hear them toll whenever the other person in their world activated them, or in base Elden Ring you'd get the golden leaves falling and a buff to rune acquisition whenever someone else defeated the Shardbearer or finished the game. I guess it's something remotely similar in Nightreign's events. Back to the run, I'm now headed to finish up the castle, and then I'll probably go back into the crater and get all the remaining local bosses. Them being one Falling Star Beast, one Red Wolf, and two Demi-Human Queens. Rivers of Blood were extremely satisfying, yes, but they will be useless against Gladius because it's fire damage, and I'd much rather have this projectile drop-off reduce passive instead. Gladius is tough. Luckily, we have everything we need to beat him. If you can use Holy Weapon, make sure to do so and be ready for a very dynamic fight. If you choose to play Iron Eye as well, be prepared for the fact that you can get one shot. Gladius is also insanely hard to proc poison or frostbite on, just saying. The only planned move I have is to start the fight with my ult to hit all of the walls while they are separated to hopefully triple the damage. The second separation is much more dangerous than the initial one, and every time I tried to be aggressive in it, I just died. It is quite similar to how it works in the regular fight with one exception. After the main wolf roars and two others charge at you, the main one will follow it up with a gigantic fire wave. It will happen twice during this phase, and unless you are 200% confident in your timings, I'd recommend to just wait both fire waves out. This phase ends after about 60 seconds and the fight becomes much more manageable again. This boss is peak and definitely tops my list of favorite Everdarks. Didn't happen during this fight, but you can achieve the holy debuff just like in regular fight, by the way. I hope you like this run, please like, subscribe and write a comment, all these things help me out a lot. GG and thank you for watching.